Americans spent more than $3 billion on candles last year, and the market is only getting bigger. However, what's truly mind-blowing is that nearly 10,000 candle-related fires caused $250 million in property damage each year. But the most devastating cost? The innocent men, women, and children whose lives are tragically lost as a result of these fires. Hi, my name is Jay Catalano. Out of all of the candle-related fires I'm going to share with you, there's one important thing you must know. Not a single one was deliberate. Each was a tragic accident, yet the devastation and heartbreak that followed left a profound and lasting impact on the communities connected to the innocent victims. These are not just stories of candle-related fires. They are narratives of lives forever changed by a single, unintended flame. As the night fell on December 3rd, 1999, an eerie calm blanketed the cold streets of Worcester, Massachusetts. In the heart of the city, an ominous six-story building, an abandoned relic constructed in 1906 and vacant since 1989, sat quietly on Franklin Street. Its vast interior was a maze of meat lockers and crumbling insulation, hiding a deadly secret. The building, once a bustling meat storage facility, was now a forgotten structure, no longer alive with the activity it had once known. It had been left to decay, with no windows above the ground floor, along with the absence of modern safety measures. It was a place where danger quietly waited. But the fire that night wasn't started by machinery or electrical failure. It began during an altercation between two homeless individuals who had sought shelter in the building to escape the cold. Thomas Levski and Julie Ann Barnes, squatting inside for warmth, accidentally knocked over a candle sometime between 4:30 and 5:45 p.m. The flames, small at first, went unnoticed, and they left the scene without reporting the fire. Little did they know that small spark would soon turn into a monstrous blaze. The fire burned undetected for nearly an hour, creeping silently through the walls and corridors, fueled by flammable insulation, and coated every surface. By the time the alarm was raised, it was too late. At 6:13 p.m., an off-duty police officer noticed gray smoke billowing from the roof and immediately called for help. Within moments, a second off-duty firefighter driving by on I-290 noticed the smoke as well, warning that this was going to be a multiple alarm fire. Inside, the flames spread like wildfire. With no windows to assess the situation and a 15,000 square foot labyrinth of halls and meat lockers to navigate, the conditions were becoming unbearable for the firefighters. But still, they pushed forward, determined to save anyone trapped within. The situation inside was chaotic. The building's layout, endless halls, narrow passages, and identical doors made it almost impossible for the firefighters to find their way. The thick smoke, growing hotter and more toxic by the second, filled the air, pushing their limits. Despite knowing that a homeless couple may be inside, they couldn't afford to waste time. They pressed on, searching through the building for signs of life, hoping that someone was still alive. But within moments, the fire erupted. What began as plumes of white smoke quickly thickened into dense, searing black clouds that filled the building. Firefighters who were once hopeful quickly became disoriented. They were lost, running out of air, and worst of all, there was no way out. Trapped inside, 6 courageous firefighters fought bravely, but the building's perilous conditions were too much to overcome. In the end, the building's interior collapsed in on itself, and the 6 firefighters, members of the Worcester's fire department, perished that fateful night. They became known as the Worcester Six. The names of the fallen firefighters are forever etched in the memories of their communities. Firefighter Paul Brotherton, Lieutenant Timothy Jackson, Firefighter Jeremy Lucy, Lieutenant James Lyons, Firefighter Joseph McGurk, Lieutenant Thomas Spencer. These brave men who had been so familiar with the dangers of the job lost their lives in the worst firefighting disaster the city had seen in decades. The fire continued to rage for hours. As the team struggled to locate the missing firefighters, rescue efforts were hindered by the intensity of the blaze and the lack of modern-day firefighting equipment. Though it was a tragic decision, at 7:58 p.m., Chief McNamee, fully aware of the stakes, made the heart-wrenching but necessary choice to call for an evacuation and physically block the doorway to save others and prevent further loss of life. The fire at the Worcester Cold Storage and Warehouse Company was a heartbreaking tragedy, a stark reminder of how quickly an unfortunate circumstance like a small candle being knocked over can escalate into a disaster. It underscores the importance of vigilance and safety in preventing such avoidable losses and honors the lives of those who risk everything to protect us. It was a typical December evening in Manhattan, the city alive with the magic of the holiday season. In the cozy apartment of the Morales family in Washington Heights, the holiday spirit was in full swing. The smell of festive traditions filled the air and the glow of Christmas lights shimmered against the walls. Merengue singer Tony Morales and his wife Lilybell, a nurse, had spent the evening making memories with their two children, 4-year-old Savannah and 18-month-old Tony Jr. The family was preparing for the holidays, their home filled with laughter and warmth. But as the night wore on, everything would change. The seemingly harmless glow of a candle placed on a table near a dried-out Christmas tree would spark a tragedy that no one could have anticipated. Around 11 p.m. on December 22, 2000, the candle toppled off the table and fell beneath the dried-out tree. In an instant, the dried needles caught fire and the flames began to spread rapidly. The family was caught off guard, but Lilybell, ever the protector, immediately sprang into action. She quickly grabbed her children and rushed to the rear bedroom, imploring a relative on the phone to call 911. Meanwhile, Tony, determined to save his family, fought desperately to put out the flames. His efforts were in vain. The fire spread too quickly, and despite his courageous attempts to drag his family to safety, the situation grew more dire by the second. Outside, neighbors heard Tony's frantic cries. "Santo, Santo, my children, my wife!" Santo Lindau, a neighbor, rushed outside to see the apartment engulfed in flames. The scene was chaotic. Flames shot out of the windows and the apartment looked like a matchbox on fire. In a moment of pure desperation, Tony fell to his knees, screaming for his family. Inside the building, two neighbors, including Lindau, used a fire extinguisher to battle the flames until fighters from Engine Company 93 arrived. As the fire was brought under control, the firefighters entered the back room where they had found Lilybell lying over her children, her body shielding them from the intense heat. The tragic scene was heart-wrenching. Savannah and Tony Jr. were found amidst the smoke, their small bodies tenderly covered with Christmas gifts, a heartbreaking act of love and protection from their mother, Lilybell. She did everything she could to save her children, said Lieutenant John Sullivan, who was among the first responders. It was the epitome of a mother's love. Firefighters worked tirelessly to revive the children. Their attempts, though heroic, were met with the unbearable loss as Savannah and Tony Jr. tragically succumbed to the fire and flames. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the community, leaving neighbors haunted by the events of that fateful night. Tony Sr., a well-known merengue performer with his band Oro Solido, had recently completed a new CD and was planning to move his family to Miami in April. Juan Fernandez, a close friend, recalled how Tony had once rescued a family from a fire a year prior, a testament to his courageous nature. But now, in the face of this unimaginable loss, the Morales family was left devastated. Tony Sr. and Lilybell endured severe burns and smoke inhalation. Both parents were in critical condition, fighting for their lives as their world lay in ruins. The fire commissioner, Thomas Von Essen, pointed out the deadly combination of lit candles and dried Christmas trees, both common during the holiday season. He also noted that the padlock window guards, which Tony had added to his apartment as a safety measure following break-ins the previous year, had effectively blocked the family's escape route, leaving them trapped in their own home. For the first responders, this fire would remain a haunting memory. Lieutenant Sullivan, visibly moved, said, "The faces of the kids, they'll live with me for the rest of my life." The tragedy of that night underscored a harsh reality. A seemingly innocent candle placed innocently near a dried out Christmas tree had turned into a devastating force of destruction. What had started as a joyful holiday evening was now forever marked by loss, pain, and heartbreak. On the evening of Friday, October 25th, 2013, in the Bronx, just a half mile from the famous Yankee Stadium, life in a 6-story apartment building on West 165th Street seemed like any other. For Tashika Turner and her children, their home had always been a sanctuary, a place filled with love and the comforting sounds of children's laughter. But the events of that night would turn their world upside down in an unimaginable way. Inside their apartment, 25-year-old Tashika Turner lit 5 candles, relying on their flickering light after Con Edison had cut the electricity just the day before due to more than $9,200 in unpaid bills. Turner was lying on her bed with her 4-month-old twins, while her older children, 5-year-old Elijah, 2-year-old Jeremiah, and 4-year-old Maya, rested nearby on the couch. She believed she had blown out the candles before heading to sleep. However, at around 8 p.m., Turner woke up to the unmistakable smell of smoke. In a panic, she realized her apartment was consumed by flames. In the chaos, Tashika was able to escape with her infant daughter, Michelle, passing her to a neighbor who had rushed to her aid. But there was no time to save her other children. From the safety of the fire escape, the terrifying sound of her children's cries echoed in her ears. Elijah, just 5 years old, Jeremiah, 2, and baby Michael, only 4 months old, were trapped inside. Tashika's desperate attempts to reach them were impeded by the overwhelming blaze. Cynthia Woods, another neighbor, heard the frantic screams for help and rushed upstairs, determined to save the children. She kicked open the door with all her might, but the flames roared back, forcing her to stumble and fall. She tried again, pushing through the door, but the fire was too strong, the heat too intense. All she could hear were the cries of the children. The fire consumed the apartment, engulfing the kitchen where the candle was believed to have started the blaze. It took nearly 100 firefighters battling the flames for over 90 minutes before they could bring the 2-alarm fire under control. By the time the flames were extinguished, it was too late. While Maya and Michelle were fortunate to be stable and receive the care they needed, the loss of Elijah, Jeremiah, and Michael was deeply felt as they were declared dead at the hospital. In the days that followed, the children's father, Tyrone Artis, devastated by the loss, said quietly, "I'm just taking it as best as I could, one day at a time," his grief palpable in his words. As the community mourned, makeshift memorials began to appear. Teddy bears, flowers, and signs reading, "Rest in peace, babies," and "God bless, we lost 3 angels." The neighborhood, united in sorrow, rallied around the grieving family, offering their support in the wake of such profound loss. Tashika Turner, who insisted she had blown out the candles before going to bed, was left to wrestle with the haunting questions surrounding the cause of the fire. The tragic loss of Elijah, Jeremiah, and Michael serves as a painful reminder of life's fragility as the neighborhood rallied together to offer prayers and support for a mother and her family torn apart by an unfathomable loss started by a candle. Late November in Harlem had a certain magic. The streets shimmered under the glow of lamplight, casting long shadows over the stoic brownstones Inside one of these buildings, a single candle flickered in the window, its golden light cutting through the chill, a hopeful reminder of the holiday season. That evening, Taekwon Carthens, affectionately known as TJ, a beloved fixture of the community, was buzzing with excitement. Known for his electric dance moves and heartwarming spirit, TJ was hosting friends and family that evening. As the night wore on, laughter spilled from the brownstone, blending with the soft hum of the city. The candle continued its quiet vigil, its flame steady, its purpose pure. But beneath its warmth lay the seeds of an unthinkable disaster. At 11:56 p.m., when most of the building had grown quiet, the trouble began. A candle placed in the apartment for ambiance flickered with a slight misstep. In that momentary lapse, the flame found new fuel. It happened quickly, silently at first, a delicate flicker igniting whatever it could find. In minutes, it found its rhythm, feeding on aged wood and dry fabric. By the time anyone noticed, it was too late. The fire exploded to life, leaping across the room like a predator unleashed. Smoke snaked through the narrow hallways, its pungent scent thickening the air. Heat swelled, walls groaned, and the festive spirit dissolved into panic. Screams pierced the cold Harlem night. Jesus Sierra, who lived on the third floor, recounted the chaos. I woke up coughing. I couldn't see a thing, just smoke everywhere. I tried to find the stairs, but the heat pushed me back. I thought I was done for. He stumbled through the dark, finally crashing through a window and into the frigid air below. On the street, neighbors gathered, their faces frozen in shock as flames devoured the building. People shouted names, their voices desperate and strained. From a second-floor window, TJ appeared, silhouetted against the inferno. He tried to climb out but faltered, the smoke overpowering him. When the fire was finally extinguished, the devastation was overwhelming. 2 lives were lost, one never identified, and the other was TJ's. The man who had danced his way into so many hearts was gone, his light extinguished by the very flames that had mirrored the spark he brought to others. Doran Hammond, a neighbor standing near the wreckage, struggled to find words. We were just laughing, just planning, and now he's gone. How is that possible? Tears streaked his soot-smudged face as he stared at the charred remains of the brownstone. Investigators determined the fire had started with the candle. What had been a symbol of warmth and hope had become an omen of destruction. The community rallied in the days that followed, gathering on the corner to mourn. They shared stories of TJ, how he mentored the kids in the neighborhood, organized dance-offs in the park, and never let a single person pass him by without a smile. But the blackened ruin of the brownstone stood as a haunting reminder. Even the smallest candle flame, left unchecked, can destroy what we hold most dear. TJ, the man who lit up every room he entered, remains a brilliant memory in the hearts of those who knew him, his light never truly fading. It was a cold morning on January 3rd, 2024 in St. Paul, Minnesota, the kind of winter chill that wraps itself around your bones, urging you to stay close to home. The quiet streets of the 1200 block Arkwright Street North lay still. Inside a modest house, the warmth of the family's love filled the rooms. The Vong family, a tight-knit group of 6 children and their devoted mother, had begun their day just like any other. The smell of breakfast lingered in the air, the sound of small feet running through the house, and the laughter of children echoing off the walls. Life was busy, but it was good. For Pa Chung Vong, every day spent with his children was a gift. He had no reason to believe that this ordinary morning would soon spiral into a nightmare. But in the midst of the calm, a flicker of danger quietly took root. A candle left unattended ignited the morning with an unforeseen fury. At first, it was nothing more than a small, silent flame, but it was all it needed to start a chain of events that would devastate the Vong family forever. By the time the fire department arrived, the house was engulfed. Smoke billowed out of the windows, filling the air with a suffocating heaviness. Inside, chaos unfolded. The children, all under the age of 5, and their mother were found unconscious, barely clinging to life. The firefighters rushed them to the hospital in critical condition, their bodies battered by smoke and fire. But in the blink of an eye, the impossible had happened. 4 precious lives had been stolen by the fire that tore through the house. 5-year-old Ciencia and her twin Encia C, 4-year-old Muju Kos Enta, and 1-year-old Muju Vang all perished in the flames. Their parents, once filled with hope and love for the future, were now left to grapple with the overwhelming loss of their children. As the community learned of the tragedy, the grief was palpable. Pa Chung Vang, who had watched his children grow with love and laughter, stood in the aftermath, shaken but still standing. His voice cracked with emotion as he expressed his gratitude for the outpouring of support. Thank you for everyone at home seeing my story, helping me out, praying for me, showing support, he said, his heart breaking with every word. Despite the unspeakable tragedy, the community rallied behind the Vang family. An online fundraiser quickly amassed nearly $500,000 in donations, a testament to the compassion and love the family had inspired over the years. People from all walks of life reached out, offering prayers, support, and a shoulder to lean on in their darkest hour. But despite the help of strangers, the Vang family's world had been irreparably changed. The fire, sparked by the smallest of things, a candle left unattended, had stolen not just the warmth of a home, but the lives of 4 innocent children. These stories are undeniably tragic, but they also highlight something incredibly powerful: the strength and resilience of everyday people. For every heartbreaking loss, there are countless acts of courage and compassion. Firefighters putting everything on the line, neighbors opening their homes, and communities coming together to support those in need. While we can't change the past, we can take these lessons to heart. By being mindful of safety, especially when it comes to candles, we can help prevent future tragedies. Candles bring warmth and light into our lives, but with a little extra care, they can remain a symbol of comfort rather than danger. Let's cherish the moments we have, be present with our loved ones, and always find hope, even in the darkest of times.